All right, let's get started. So I'm going to do one as an example for you. This one's Buddy Holly's That'll Be the Day. So just like we did early on in this unit, we are going to first highlight things that we see occurring a lot. So kind of looking for a chorus. So this is one chorus. I see this one occurring more than once. Here it is again. This part of it is, but then there's this extra word. Okay, you can see it, try to see if there's any differences between them. Like I may end up just putting this on a different line. And if you do have differences between the choruses, you're going to need to use a parameter. Some of the songs may need a parameter, but others do not. This one does not. The other thing is you can look to see if there's like I could make a second function, but since these are a single line, I don't think it really saves me anything. So the part that's highlighted, that can be a chorus function. The other parts that are different cannot be. So if I head over to my template, the one that was done for a different song, Blowin' in the Wind by Bob Dylan, I want to point out a few things about how the Bob Dylan song was done. So up at the top, that's where your X value is going to be. Right now it's set to 80. By setting it 80 pixels to the right, it kind of looks centered, but if you change your font size, or if your lines are longer or shorter, you may need to adjust line 1. This line 3 about your starting Y value, that's how far down the page your scrolling is going to start. So when I press run, it starts 300 pixels down. If I show the grid, see how it showed up right there at 300 pixels down. So you can adjust that if you want, but I do like it starting, lower on the page so it gives you enough time to read it before it goes off the screen. If you start it too high, if you started at like 0, then I didn't even get to see the title at all before it's gone. Then here we have our function that we're calling chorus. We're using a parameter called pixels down. I would not change that. You might want to add a parameter if you need an additional one, but if you do not need any parameters, you do at least need pixels down as a parameter, and I'll explain kind of how that works. So the first line of our chorus for That'll Be the Day is, well, that'll be the day. I can copy it, paste it here for our first line. The X and Y value, like if I switch to block mode, this represents where the X value of that text line should start, which we have set to 80. So the nice thing about having this variable set to 80 is if I decide to change it further to the right or further to the left, I only have to change it in one spot and it'll fix it everywhere else because I just use text X variable everywhere. The Y value is a little more complicated. That's what's allowing it to go up the screen. So essentially I'm taking the starting Y value, which was 300 pixels down, and I'm adding to it how many pixels down it should go. That's kind of what we're plugging in here for chorus. The first time we do the chorus, we want it to be 180 pixels further down. This chorus, we want 400 pixels further down, and chorus is 620 pixels down, like in comparison to the first line. Okay, so these numbers are going to end up changing depending on, the length of your song. So it's okay if you don't understand this part right here, because you don't really need to change it per se. But my first line, I'm adding 0 to. The second line, adding 20, which is going to make it 20 pixels further down. The third line is going to be 40 pixels further down on the screen. Okay, so then our second line, I can copy and paste that over to here. And we're going to have a lot more lines to this. Okay, than my original example. And I would say that with the copying and pasting, if you switch to text mode, then you can more easily copy and paste the entire line, including all of the variables. Okay, so you would change the text that's here. You're also going to need to change how many pixels down it's going to go. Okay, so our fourth line is actually when you make me cry. So let's update that here. So when you make me cry. And I like to add 20 each time, but my font size is small. If you end up wanting to change your font size, you might want to do that first, so that you don't have to change all these numbers again later. Okay, so if I go to text size in pixels, like even before I start this business, and change it to 14. Okay, that still fits pretty well, but if I make it even bigger, let's say 25, now they're a little smushed. Okay, so you can play around with that, see what you like. Let's see, 18. 18 is good, but now I feel like it's too far over to the right, so I could change the text X value maybe to, I don't know, 30. Does it fit now? I think it will fit once we change the rest of the words. Okay, so that can be played around with. So I'm adding 20 each time just to spread out so that they don't overlap. I try to keep my indentation levels the same. So the nice thing is, by identifying the chorus, you only have to go through this process once with the chorus, and that'll save you time later on. If you want to use a smaller font and have more than one line per line, the last, wait, nope, this one almost done with the chorus. Pixels, okay, so my chorus is ready now. So that's just the chorus. Now we need to think about the song itself. You don't need to change your background color, but you could later. But definitely don't get rid of there being a background color. I'll show you what happens if that accidentally gets deleted. Now they're all just printing on top of itself. So that line of background color is super important. All right, so the song title can be updated. Got some quotation issues. Actually, let's keep that one. Okay, so I have a quotation at the beginning and after who it's by. So this is the very first thing that runs. So notice that it's using text X for its X value and starting Y. So this is the very first line before we even do any chorus stuff. I used these green comments to show the song structure. But this song is a little different in that it starts with the chorus as opposed to a verse. Okay, so I might grab this chorus section and move it up here. Okay, so the chorus should be right after the title. So if the song title is at starting Y, which is, what is it? Starting Y is 300. Our chorus, let's say we want it 40 further down. So then we're going to have our verse 1. So verse 1, I'm just going to have to go through these guys in. By the way, if this is at 40, but this one's here, I'm going to add, I don't know, 100. See how that goes? I might delete some of these things I don't need right now. All right, so our chorus goes down to 140, right? So after our title, the first line of verse 1 should be like, I don't know, 180 down in comparison. So let's get rid of these lines for a moment. Okay, so we've got our title, we've got some extra spacing before chorus starts. But it does look like there's overlap for the first line of my verse, so 180 was enough. So let's try 220. Okay, so far so good. Okay, so we're going to finish verse 1, which is going to be a lot of lines like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then copy my lines in. Okay, then I need to fix my Y values, because right now if I run this, they're all going to be in the same spot overlapping with each other. Yep, look at that. Okay, so the first line of 220 worked, so now I'm just going to add 20 more each time, so 240, 260, 280, 300, 320, 340, 360. I like to run it as I go just to double check. All right, so now underneath this we're going to want another chorus, so I can copy these two lines. I like to include the comment here because it makes it easier to see the song structure. So we've got chorus, and I want this 40 further down than the 360. If I did 20 down and made it 380 for the starting line of the chorus, then they're going to be right against each other. You're not going to see the space. Okay, but I like there to be a little extra space between parts of the song structure, kind of like how we have here. But if I make this 380, the chorus is just smushed with the verse. So I'm going to make this 400 instead, just to give it a little more separation. I'll just double check it. Now, if you want to speed this up, especially for debugging, right now it's set to go up at 1 pixel a second. You could change it to like 2 pixels a second, which will make it go a little faster, but don't go too crazy and don't turn it in at a fast speed. Okay, so you're going to repeat this process now for a verse 2 and another chorus. I don't think you need to see me do that. Let me pause and then just jump to it. Okay, I'm back. So the structure of this song was we have verse 1, then a chorus, then another chorus. So I added the other chorus, this time starting at 580 pixels down. The previous one was 400. The reason I added 180 is the length of the chorus. If I look at the last line of the chorus, it says it's 140 pixels down compared to the start. So I added 40 to that just to give some extra space. So 180 is what I used. So added 180 for next one. So then I had verse 2, which was similar to verse 1, but the first line started at 760. Again, I took 580 and added 180 to get 760 for the first line of verse 2. Then just added 20, added 20, added 20 all the way down. And then I have another chorus, which I did at 940, so 40 more than the last line here, which takes me, gives me a little space in between. And then I added 180 again to get the starting line of the outro. So the outro was like a lot of repeated lines here, but that's okay. And then I added 20 for each one. I upped the speed to 3 pixels a second, or 3 pixels at a time. So we have our chorus, our verse 1, a chorus, another chorus, a second verse, another chorus, and then our outro. So again, you can change the colors on this, just make sure it's readable. You can change the font, you can change the pixels, but those kind of changes you might want to do first up here at the top before you start figuring out all of your Y values of how far down something should be, because you may want to adjust that depending on your size and font and that kind of spacing. So when you're done with this and you've double checked that it works, you could change the speed back down if you need to. Otherwise, you press share, copy link to project, and then submit that to Canvas.